Excuse me. Has anybody seen White Rabbit?
That was a joke about the world being flat, right? Was it?
Why does it seem like the further we go back in history, the more advanced we were? You're telling me people were so primitive they took a hammer and chisel and made this?
President Kennedy died at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time.
When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order.
How many vaccines have you had? Have you got a good little elections?
Buckle your seatbelt, Dorothy, because Kansas is going bye-bye.
Welcome, fellow truthers and conspiracy junkies, to another episode of White Rabbit. I am your host, Catalyst Jones, and today we're going to be diving into some of that 2045 stuff that we've been talking about on Instagram. I have the lady herself, Mrs. Lady Liberty Libby. I always get tongue twisted when I try to say that. Mrs. Lady Liberty Libby, how are you doing today?
I am really, really good. You did a good job. I didn't realize that was a tongue twister until you brought it up.
Maybe it's just me because I'm half retarded. So we had an awesome live stream about a week ago, and then we got so rudely cut off by the tech giants and did not give me the option to post that. And that was where all the juicy stuff was, where you were talking about 2045. So I said, you know what? Why don't we get you on the regular show? And we could put this out to the masses, because some of the stuff that you uncovered is pretty fucking incredible, scary, but the good guys are going to win in the end. So
for sure. That's the important part. We have to be prepared, though. If we don't know what's coming, how are we going to know how to prepare so the good guys can win?
Absolutely. So how did you first come across 2045? And then we'll dive into what exactly it is.
Okay, so I'm so glad that this is like a conspiracy weirdo show, because that means for me, I can say anything and no one in your audience would judge the weirdness of it, right? Because it's all weird.
Right. See, we rock the tinfoil hats here.
Right. Yes, I do. Can't see mine. It's super like invisible now.
Perfect.
Okay. I'm a very strange person. I have what some people call premonitions. I have what some people call, not just vivid dreams, because there's vivid dreams and there's, we could get deep into the sleep stuff and the brain stuff, but I have always had dreams that have been very vivid and very realistic. They feel real. I wake up and I usually, for the most part, remember them. And that's really how I found 2045. It really is. But I'll back up just a tiny bit.
So you have visions in your dreams?
I guess. I mean, I have dreams and then it happens in reality, in this reality.
I would say that you have visions.
Pretty fucking creepy.
Well, I think that's awesome. Okay, so you had a vision and it led you to 2045.
Yeah, it started this isn't the first time this kind of thing's happened to me at all. If I'll give away my age fully, but I celebrated my birthday a couple days ago, and I told everybody I'm 42, which is shocking to me because I didn't think I'd live this long. But in 94, there was a Northridge earthquake. For anybody who was living in Southern California, in the LA County area especially, I was 14 at the time. And to make a long story short, for 3 days leading up to it, so that was early on a Monday morning when that happened, on Martin Luther King's birthday, I believe it was, in January. And for 3 days leading up to that, so from Friday or so, I was overwhelmed with not just anxiety. It wasn't just anxiety. It's not just, you'll hear people say not even like a dark cloud, just like this unknown, not even fear really. It was just this knowing, just I knew something was coming and I knew that I had to prepare for it. And being the oldest of four, I really felt a very strong sense of responsibility. And so the more the weekend got in, the more anxious I was, the more I really felt like this sinking feeling of impending doom. And eventually I finally convinced my mom to let me pack some emergency bags, because I told her when she asked me, what did I think was coming? And I always say it this way: I don't think something's coming or not coming. I feel. Like, I'm very much a feminine being, and I operate out of my emotions. I don't operate out of logic or rationality like men do for the most part. That's a masculine's brain. That's not me.
So it wasn't a question of you wondering whether or not something was going to happen. It was, you felt it in your bones and knew it to be something was happening. You knew it for as real as you and I are having a conversation.
Yeah, I did. I really did. It was just a matter of trying to convince my parents to believe that what I was saying was true. And ultimately, my mom at least, my dad thought I was nuts, but my mom at least listened to me. I think more so because she just wanted me to go away and sleep, and let me pack the emergency bags, because I told her an earthquake was coming very, very, very soon. And we needed to be prepared. I had a younger sister who was still in diapers. And thank God they did let me do that, because when the earthquake struck a few hours later in the morning, everybody looked at me, of course, like, how the hell did you know? And I just was grateful, really. I was just glad that I knew and that they listened to me, because we were one of the only ones in our townhouse community at that time that was prepared, that did have candles set aside and batteries and canned foods and diapers and water and, things like that. And if you were in LA County during the earthquake, then you know that it was chaotic. It was absolutely insanely chaotic. And it stayed that way. And our townhouse was red flagged 3 days later. So the reason I bring that up is because that was one of the first times that I can remember. I know there was others, but that was one of the first times that I could remember just really knowing that, how did I know that this was coming? And thank God I did, but how did I know this? And so when it came to all this stuff that started, in March of 2020, I knew in, I guess, December, January, that the world was going to be shut down and that people were going to be locked inside, because I dreamt it. And I know that sounds crazy to a lot of people, but that's my complete truth. I wasn't on drugs. I wasn't drinking. I wasn't taking anything. I was just being myself, just sleeping. And I had the same repetitive dream. And that's how I usually know that it's a premonition, is that it's just repetitive and it's over and over and over. It's like a movie is playing in my head when I'm sleeping. And it's the same movie for the most part, over and over and over again. Sometimes there's a little details that are tweaked here and there. Like I dreamt January 6th, but I didn't know that it was going to be what it turned out to be. What I saw in my dream, my husband ended up nicknaming the Red Dream. And when I posted it online, because I was online way before Lady Liberty Libby was born, under different names. This is like probably literally my 10th or 20th account by this time. So that's how I dreamt it. That's how I came to know that the world was going to shut down, that I warned my family. That's one of the reasons why my teenage daughters moved in with their father, because mom is now crazy. Although I'm not, I'm very sane.
Even though it happened.
Even though it happened, right? So it was after it happened that they got really scared and ended up moving out. It was after. My middle daughter left the day after. When I picked her up from school, it was her last day of school. She didn't know it would be her last day of normal school. Like, who knows if that will ever happen again. I don't personally think it will, especially here in California. But yeah, and my oldest moved out a couple weeks later. And my ex is just a horrible narcissist. So he's used all this to, turn him against me and whatnot. And I mean, really, when I think about it, this is all prophesied in the Bible. It's all prophesied. My life and what I've lived through the last 2.5 years is Bible prophecy. Daughter will turn against mother, like neighbor against neighbor, friend against friend. You'll hear wars and rumors of wars. Everything is laid right out, right there. Yeah, so that's what I use as my reference point, though. Is the Bible for me.
So what brought you, you talk about having these dreams and visions, and what brought you to look at 2045? Was it one of these dreams, and what did you find there?
So one of the dreams that I had was I just kept seeing numbers, and the numbers I saw were 2045. And I really didn't know what it meant or what it was, but there was, so it sounds probably ridiculous, but our mind, our subconscious is a very, very interesting place. And I feel like my subconscious was trying to, with God, was trying to make sense. And like explain to me in ways that my human brain would be able to understand. Right. So I kept having these particular dreams of where I would see images that looked like the background of the Matrix. So if you've seen the Matrix movie with the coding.
Yep.
And coding was 2045. All the coding was 2045. All the coding was 2045. I may not even mention that dream to my husband. I don't think he's even asked me about that one. Because I didn't have it very often. It was a few times, and I ended up coming across the 2045, the first site that I came across, because I was looking into what else was it that linked me to there? It was the shots. I can say that on here, like without being afraid of being censored.
Yeah, we don't hold back anything on this show.
Yeah, it was looking into the COVID shots and looking into, because one of the first things that I found that really led me to know for sure that what I was dreaming was like leading me somewhere was when I found, I think it was like in April or May of 2020, on the CDC's website. So not on the FDA's website, on the CDC's, or on this, it's a CDC document on the FDA's page. That's what it is. And it's buried. And they moved the paragraph a couple of times, but it's right there where it says that the COVID-19 virus has never been isolated. Now a lot of people know about that. But when I first found that, I was like, wait, what the fuck? Never been isolated? Like,
yeah, there was somebody in Canada that actually won a court case because of that.
Yeah. There's a lot of really interesting things that tie into with when you really start to follow the money with that shot. And that was how I ended up finding the 2045.com. That's just one basic site that will take you to what's called the Avatar Project. So, and then under the Avatar Project, which is the picture that I've put on Instagram a few times, there's a few reels that have that picture. I think I added to the one I made this morning because it's one that I'm hoping at least some people have now come to recognize. If anything, because of me, then fine, great. Like I use a VPN for the most part and try to keep everything I look for as hidden. And, you know, I've had several different phones and whatnot. So
yeah, you kind of got to be these days. We're already on a list though, so I don't even care. I'm out here broadcasting the things that I think about. So it doesn't matter when they put up the Googlogs, I'll either be running or marching into them. So
I am hoping and praying that I die shooting in battle than being tortured.
Yeah, agreed.
It'll be one of those two for sure. Which one? I'm not sure.
So on the 2045 page, it talks a lot about transgenderism and basically what their goals are. It talks about cloning a little bit and the stuff that's happening with that. I saw
go ahead.
Stuff where they're talking about actually being able to harness your consciousness and your thoughts and transfer them into a different body, basically.
Right.
So a lot of crazy shit going on here. A lot of it's a conspiracy theorist dream. It's like the jackpot of everything when you stumble across.
It's horrible. It's really, I'm smiling because it's like, it's not funny. It's so awful. It's so terrible. They've already spent over $10 million this year alone in propaganda.
Yeah. So are we seeing anything? Because I mean, I don't think you do either, but I don't watch mainstream media. Like I won't even watch the football game right now. The Raiders opening game is on, and I have like devices that is just putting up the play-by-play because I refuse to be indoctrinated by their fucking commercials.
Right. Well, I mean, I can tell you that it's been out there, And people, I think, haven't really paid much attention to it because they slide it in and make it look so attractive. So I'll give you a couple of examples of some shows, and then a recent movie, just one recent movie, although there's like endless, countless amounts, really, if you dig into it. But there's Battlestar Galactica. That was way back when. And then they redid it and made it really cool and funny with Fox and all that crap. All right. So there was Battlestar Galactica. That's all about cyborgs. That's what Battlestar Galactica essentially was about. Cyborgs taking over humanity. That's the essential plot of that particular show. Then there was Star Trek. Same basic thing, cyborgs. They would call them something else. My husband and I were going over this. He was explaining it to me because I was a Star Wars fan, but not too much into Star Trek. And so there's that. They've been conditioning us for years, decades. The most recent one that a lot of people might know about, I started watching this for research purposes years ago, actually. And they came out with another season. They just finished it. So now I'm not binging it, but I'm watching it like literally like research, like fucking notes and shit, like a scientist. All right. Is Westworld.
Please tell me you're going to say Westworld. I was going to ask.
Westworld. Like, hello. It's right fucking there in your face. Everything. There was a movie, like, this is so horrible. There was a movie that my husband unknowingly rented, right, from like a Redbox or something, because we're kind of out in the middle of nowhere, sort of. And what was it called? As we were watching this with our kid, I'm like I couldn't even help but just be shocked at the way that they're presenting it. Was a movie called The Mitchells versus the World or something. Like, I am going to make some videos with that movie. Like, I have to, because the way that they bring out the transhumanistic agenda in this fucking movie for kids, for families, is so beyond sick propaganda. And there is a science behind this. Like, I hope people understand that when it comes to propaganda like this, it's a science. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they make you want the changes that are actually going to be harmful for humanity. And
right.
I mean, look at how attached we are to our cell phones already. Just imagine if it's attached to us physically, like physically attached to us. And so we're going down the rabbit holes of Neuralink, because you posted some Elon Musk clips as well. I believe the one you posted today has him saying like the people, the way that they react is because the half human robots are not out on the streets killing people yet.
Exactly. You heard that. I'm so glad, because when I found that, as I was watching that interview, I just sat there and was like, I mean, I don't know how much clearer. You have to fucking hear the words. I don't understand anymore and the amazing part to me is, and I have to say this, like, I just have to, is that, so I'm a mom. I'm also consider myself a patriot and all that, right? And now what I don't understand is this. I absolutely would love to have social media in some way, shape, or form end up being some sort of source of income for me, right? That would be great. However, I refuse to do that at the expense of what I'm able to share, because that's way more important to me. And what I have found really shocking, honestly, since I have found all of this crap and tried to uncover it and connect all the dots and share it with the public, is that there are more accounts that are more afraid to share this kind of stuff than there are those that are willing to do it for fear of being banned, for fear of having their accounts removed. And I feel like as a community, if we don't put that crap aside and remember that our purpose ought to be to save our children's futures and our humanity, that ought to be what comes first. Not, I have 50,000 followers, and I mean, if I post that, Libby, then, you know, it might get flagged. Well, fucking, I hope it does, because then you know you're doing something right. And yeah, I don't get that.
I agree with that. There are ways to play the game without, though, you know, like I don't allow hashtags in my comments because that'll get you flagged right away. Like, right. I understand what you're saying, but also if you are kicked off of Instagram, then you have nobody to listen to you, and we've all been kicked off and have to rebuild our followers, and it sucks. It's a painful fucking process. So I do understand where those people are coming from, but at the same time, it's like you have to find clever ways to battle that. So if you're like, hey, help me get this information out, and they're like, just no, be like, all right, how can I put this up so that it sparks people's interest without them shooting me down? That's the whole key of this fucking war that we're in right now, because the battlefield is Instagram and Twitter and TikTok and all these places, because that's where everybody is. That's where all these brainwashed people need to hear the shit that's happening and have their fucking realities thrown right back in their face and say, well, why do you believe this? And that is the battlefield. So we do have to play by their rules to a point, but we just got to be more creative in how we do it.
I completely agree with that. I do. I guess part of me wishes that, because I've been trying to do this for so long. I mean, the first time I found the 2045 agenda was last summer. It was last summer. And I was screaming about it then. You could look at what's now my backup page. And that's probably like the 10th, 5th. I mean, it's a lot. And I get it. I totally get the frustration. Had I never been banned from the get-go, I don't know, maybe I'd get 100,000 by now with some fancy blue check mark. But ultimately, I kept coming back and I kept screaming louder into what feels like a fucking black abyss, right? It's infuriating to those of us that it can be really infuriating, can be really discouraging to feel like, you know, and have people then doubt you as well. Like, oh, this is not real. Like, none of this is actually happening now. No, it is very much. That's why I added one of the articles that I found. There's just one of Elon Musk. He's basically going around and looking for fucking investors into his Neuralink. That's what he's doing. Like, that's what he's doing.
And then he goes on Joe Rogan and he brands it as this thing that's going to help people. It's going to cure blindness. It's going to help people with Alzheimer's. It's going to be this great thing for everybody. And so that everybody's all on board with it. And that's how you get investors, is you make it look like this great thing, even though most of the investors are probably BlackRock corporations that want this agenda in the first place.
For sure. I would bet my everything that, I mean, at the top of it isn't even BlackRock, right? It's Vanguard. Like, they own basically everything that is anything at this point. So when I was doing intel for one of the organizations that I was, you know, with for a while, I've since left and stuff because I didn't like how they were going. But one of the things that I guess I really feel is really important for me is to just share what I find and let everybody else make their decision on their own. I encourage everyone to do their own research all the time. And I try to make it as easy as I can by grabbing the links that I've already found, making sure that as far as I know, once I post them, they're valid, they're active, they're links that are right there that you can click on, you can research, you can open up a new browser, type in whatever the hell, you know what I mean? Like, go find it yourself.
Yeah, that's too much work for people. People don't like to do that. They'd rather just look at videos that we make and spent like 3 hours putting this video together, and then they just nitpick it with their like 2-second review of it.
Right. In my case, I guess the longest I can go now on Instagram is 90 seconds, which is just, you know, so much fun to condense so much information into 90 seconds.
Oh, is that as long as the videos that they allow you to post are?
For the reels, which are the things that catch the most, you know, viewers or whatever, and the songs, and like, come on, you know what? I said to my husband, I go, I did not sign up to be a fucking digital video editor, mixer, or whatever the shit this is. Like, this is not what I signed up for. But ultimately, that's what I find myself having to do to just be able to get like a little bit of the information out. So someone, maybe one person, just one, like you, could grab it and see it and be like, oh, wait, let me spend more than 5 seconds looking at this right now and see what else is in here, right? And then maybe after that, after a minute, be like, well, now I really want to kind of see if this is some bullshit or if it's real. Click. Now you can actually read it for yourself and see that I'm not making it up. I'm just the messenger. That's it. Yeah. More so after May 19th of this year and what I experienced then, I'm like, I know everything that's coming. I really do. And I know that what I'm doing, what my husband's doing, what we're doing right now is to prepare for this, for when this takes over, because it will. It's just a matter of time. And there's not that much time. There really isn't.
Well, 2045 is not that far away, but they're already in the process of doing this. I wouldn't necessarily ring true to the date of 2045. So, what is their main agenda with this? What are they trying to do?
They want to transplant human consciousness into an artificial intelligent body so that they can create everlasting life, immortality. That's their agenda. They're eugenicists. Eugenicists are Satanists. Satanists are obsessed with being God. And they want to mock God. How can they possibly ever really claim to be like God if they can't create humans? And how can they create humans? They've done the cloning, they've done the artificial insemination, they've done all these other things, right? But that still doesn't really give them what eugenicist agenda is. There's like a whole, what did I find? A timeline of transhumanism. That's what I added to the reel I made this morning. This was just within the last week. I've spent like 5 or 6 days digging the fuck into this. Okay. So I've never heard of a guy named Zoltan. Zoltan, like, have you heard of this person?
Yeah, and dude, where's my car?
Right. Right. And then when I hear the word Zoltan, I can't help but think of, you remember that movie Big with the big guy, like and it's a machine and you put like the money in and he tells you you remember that? That's how
Zoltar.
Big was Zoltan, right?
I think it was Zoltar, but I could be wrong. But yeah, fucking Tom.
Yeah, it's very similar. But this guy Zoltan Istvan this is a real person.
It sounds like a villain from a Disney movie, though, doesn't it?
Right? Well, I mean, it should, because when you take a look at who he is and what he wants to do, like, let me just tell you from the little bit that I've researched, Mr. Zoltan, okay, is hell bent on creating cyborgs out of every fucking human for climate's sake, all right? The climate is fucked and we all need to be cyborgs now, okay? That's his agenda, and he wants to be president of the United States.
Oh, wow.
He's running. Did you know that? He's running for governor.
No. Is he good friends with Klaus Schwab? Because they both have the names like they'd be hanging out with each other trying to take over the world.
I mean, he's Russian. He's from Russian descent.
Yeah, his last name just sounds like it, he is definitely a villain, even if he tries. Like, I don't know, man. I thought Obama sounded pretty bad. But
he legitimately has his own, like, a website. Like, if I posted it, like, it's all this stuff, everything, every single thing, every screenshot, it's right there for everybody to have fun with. It's in my Telegram channel. It's right there. And I reposted stuff and pinned it to make it super easy. So no one can be like, I didn't find it. It's not there. It's right there. It's right there. It's super easy.
So how do you think that they're going to implement this? Do you think it has anything to do with the Jabberwocky, or do you think two totally different agendas playing out at the same time here? What do you think?
I feel like what they're going to do is I feel like what Musk is ultimately going to end up doing. So there's like a few different parts to it, in my opinion, from what I've put together. And some people ask me, like, where's the proof for this? I don't have 100% proof of every single connecting puzzle piece, as I call it, to this like sick, twisted shit. What I will tell you is that from what I've uncovered and from what I feel like is going to happen, Musk's Neuralink and the metaverse are completely interlinked with each other. They have to be. They have to be, because the Neuralink is a brain implant. And the brain implant controls the mood. It controls your motor senses. It's going to control all of those things. So when there's that one, I forget it, the scientist who says humans are now hackable, right? That's what in my opinion, that's what they're talking about, is the Neuralink device. Once it's implanted into your brain, humans are going to be hackable. Surprise. Because
you don't think it has anything to do with the nanobot technology that's inside of the jab?
I think that is like a test run. That's what I feel like that is. I can't even say I think that's what it is. I feel like the COVID shot is a multi-dimensional thing. It is a bioweapon to kill off humans. It's partially to see whose body it may take to create this like nanobot fucking, I don't know what, blood clots and all sorts of shit that it's doing to people, right? But there's 3 different ones too. There's a placebo that they've given to a lot of people. There's one that's actually very deadly. And then there's one that has this nanobot technology in it. So they're not, every single one of them is even exactly the same. And when people are going around saying that this shit can be removed from your system, the graphite and all that stuff, show me somebody who's had it and had it successfully removed first. Because it's a load of bullshit, in my opinion, that once you inject something into someone's bloodstream, you can somehow remove it from their bloodstream once it's taken over their body and all their cells. Like that's a whole different, I can't even deal with that right now. But because it's just so much right there.
Well, I hope that there's ways that your body would just fight it off and kill out the metal and push it out itself.
I think it's quite possible. If you're talking about a person's body, if they're able to heal and get rid of shit like that, 100% I feel like they can. If the terrain is in healthy order.
Right.
But then you're talking about the difference between the germ theory that most of the humanity has bought into or terrain theory. You know what I mean? Which a lot of people that are still going around saying I got COVID, in my head, when I hear they say that, they believe in the germ theory. That's why they're saying that. If they believe that terrain theory existed, like I stumbled upon earlier this year when I had pneumonia, then they would know that that's not a legitimate thing.
Yeah, you can't. It's hard to let go of. Right?
Give me one really quick to tell my kid that I'm not done. 1 second. I'm not done yet. When I'm done, I'll put one on. Go to the next one. Okay, sorry about that.
No, you're totally good.
Anyways, I'll tell you that I really feel like the Neuralink, like Musk's Neuralink, in all seriousness, is just going to be like the end of part of the end of humanity, because I can only imagine. I mean, there's already microchips that are being implanted in people in Switzerland, and it's been happening for a very long time, not 5 years, 2 years, like a long time. And so the idea behind being microchipped in order to open a vending machine or something is that's already existed. You know what I mean? That's already been there. What they're talking about, what they want to push, is this idea that human consciousness can be transplanted into an artificial body so that the body doesn't die. So the body lives forever, right? But then it goes even further. If you look at their agenda, just the Avatar agenda, just the Avatar project milestones. By 2045, their idea is to have a hologram of human personality in an avatar. And ironically, the second Avatar movie is coming out later this year, I think, or scheduled for next year. I've already looked into it, and I even tried to make a video with that one. So what I see happening is that the Neuralink is going to be this thing that's going to be sold to pharmaceutical companies as it's going to improve humanity and help I'm like possibly going blind. I want nothing to do with the fucking Neuralink. Like, I have serious corneal issues, and I've been told that there's a good chance I'll need a corneal transplant at some point in my life to not end up blind. I want nothing to do with Neuralink. I would rather end up blind than have something like that in my brain. Because once that's implanted in your brain, they can not just hack into your brain and change your personality, your mood, your physical motor capability, what you can do with your arms, your legs, your speech, your thoughts, right? They can hack into all of that. So not only can they do that, but what are people doing right now in the metaverse? They're all hooked up to sensors. They're literally, some of them are having sex with all sorts of disgustingness. And where's all that data going? In my opinion, it's not all just going and staying with metaverse. In my opinion, everything's interlinked. And when you look into the Internet of Things, when you look into something like that, and you look into CERN and what CERN really is, my opinion, CERN's going to be the software program that's essentially going to have all of the humans' data that's been grabbed from the metaverse, that's been pulled from the Neuralink, all right here in this nice big database, very similar to shows like The Flash. where there was a particle accelerator that fucking exploded. And they make it sound so far-fetched in these shows and these movies that we watch that we really think it's just this sci-fi crap until we start to find things like I found where the World Economic Forum wants to microchip your children. Why? Not only do they want to microchip your children, but right there in their own language, they talk about, well, kids have been watching superheroes on the screen for so long. And, you know, why should it just be kept to their imagination to be superheroes if we could give them that? So when they are selling it to our children that way, what do you think is going to happen? When pharmaceutical companies approach pediatricians and start saying, hey, we've got this device. And so Johnny, who now has ADHD, by the way, because we gave it to him with the shots, other shots, right? Now we have the solution for Johnny's ADHD. And it doesn't have to be a pill that you have to remember to give him or this or that, whatever. Just put this chip in his brain. You can control how he feels and what he does. You don't have to deal with the screaming and the bullshit anymore.
Right. And then that will be the last form of control that they'll have on us, where they have to use manipulation, because once they link you, then they don't have to go through all the MK Ultra brainwashing and the media propaganda to make you do what they want you to do. They're just gonna hack into you and make you do what they want you to do, like
the Matrix.
Right. There will be no more free will. Once,
not if you've got that shit hooked up into your brain. No.
Yeah, if this happens, there will be no more free will, and this is talked about widely amongst world leader gatherings and stuff. They openly talk about how they're going to be able to control the masses and what their plans are. And we're seeing, like, was it Israel or whatever, that they're building this basically a city, but it looks like a light rail station type of thing.
Oh, they're doing that. No, that's not Israel. It was in like one of the Indian, like I want to say India. I think it was India. You're talking about the wall city, right? Where it's like a wall. It literally looks like a line.
Yeah,
like,
but that's not the only one. So that one went by.
No, it's
but
not.
Then when you look into it, there's a bunch of these things going up all over the place.
Yeah, there is.
So you put like these two totally different equations together, and then those two puzzle pieces fit together for the future. They want to control everybody, and then they want to have everybody in these controlled environments on top of it. And they're already working towards that as well. So they really are. And I love it when people will say, oh, that's just a conspiracy. Everything is a fucking conspiracy if there's more than two people involved in it. Does it make it not true? No, it's a conspiracy truth. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's only a theory if you can't piece the puzzle together and make it make sense.
Right here. I have all the pieces right here. Like, there's nothing fake about any of this. There's nothing that's not real about any of it. You know what I mean? Like, it's all right there. I really don't get people that think that it's like not true. When I'm sitting here staring at a timeline of transhumanism, mind uploading, cryonics, artificial intelligence, robotics, space exploration, brain and body modifications, and the sci-fi roots of a techno future. This is a fucking website, all right? It's not. And it's not to say like, oh, well, anyone could have a website. Okay, it's called theverge.com. It's right there. It's a whole timeline that begins in 1906. Okay, and the first posting in 1906 is Nikolai, sorry, I might butcher these names, Fyodorov establishes Russian cosmism, a spiritual belief system and precursor to transhumanism, which advocates for physical immortality, space exploration, and resurrecting the dead through science. Sounds fucking crazy until you start reading about it and realize that they have been actually literally implementing legislation, laws, or in all sorts of tiny little books that they've written, movies they've made, shows, in order to eventually push this. So today we're in 2022. This started at least in 1906, at least. Really, it was way before that. In my personal opinion, when people ask me like, well, who do you think the leader of, all this evil stuff is? Is it the cabal? Of course it's the cabal. Well, who's the leader of the cabal? On Earth, I suppose Vanguard Group. Well, who else is? Fucking Satan, because it's evil, right? So it's not just bad. It's not just wrong. It's fucking evil, insane, sick shit, right? Okay, who's the leader of the evil shit? In my world, Satan. So what's the opposite of that? God, Christ. So that's why I go back to the Bible, because if people want to say that this is, I'm just scaring people. Like I've heard that a lot. You're just instilling fear. Cool. I hope I'm instilling a lot of fear into a transhumanistic fucking agenda that is literally being pushed under our noses and no one's fucking really paying much attention to it. And one of the only people that I see that's a big talking head is Alex Jones. And people have basically, even within our community, have made him sound like he's just a crazy person because the stuff he talks about. And he's not. He's not. I'm here to tell you, if he's crazy, so am I. Because he's one of the only people that's talking about this and has people on his show that are talking about how they're pushing the transhumanistic agenda.
Yeah, his batting average is really high as far as knocking shit out of the park. He's been right way more than he's been wrong. My buddy James from We the People Radio always brings up a very good point, though, when people say that he could be controlled opposition, because nobody goes and films the cremation of care during what is that, Bohemian Grove, and lives to tell about it, let alone becomes very successful after the fact. So
why though? People don't believe in miracles?
They either allowed it to leak, they wanted it to leak purposely, or he is controlled opposition and he gives us the truth of what's going on, because what difference does it make if a handful of us are wearing our tinfoil hats and try to stop something when the masses are asleep at the wheel, just walking towards the slaughterhouse?
I mean, I totally understand that. It's hard to tell who's controlled and who's not anymore. I guess the main thing that I go based on is really just goes back to my intuition. And I try to use discernment. I pray a lot, and I go back to the Bible and I compare things to the Bible. So when someone goes around and tells me, like, I'll give you a good example. I've been approached by a couple of larger accounts, I'll put it that way, on Instagram, right? That are, who's to say people know who they are or not? What I didn't, but I'm also not in that world at all. Like I couldn't care less about beauty or hair or fashion, or don't fucking give a shit if you haven't noticed. Like I don't care. So they approached me and stuff and wanted to, basically were like, I mean, you keep going back to the Bible, right? Like, well, what if the Bible was, altered? And I'm like, don't fucking start with me. Like, please don't go down that hole with me, because you're not going to get far. Because I will just refer you back to every other scripture in the Bible that says that the Bible wasn't altered. So because I don't know what else to do, and I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole of these extra books and those books and those books. And none of that still takes away from Revelation or from Matthew or from anywhere else in the Bible where where there's descriptions, like very fucking clear descriptions to me of what I open my eyes every day and am now reading and seeing is happening in the world that I live in. So that's kind of what I always go back to.
Might not take anything away, but it definitely leaves a lot of things out that are more interesting. Like if you do read the books of Enoch, it adds a lot more pieces to the puzzle, and in my opinion is the most interesting part of the Bible and should never have been taken out.
I guess for me, it doesn't really matter. It's like the concept, the idea that the earth is flat. I personally believe the earth is flat, but I also personally believe that the earth is flat because I always fucking felt that the earth was flat, actually, since I was a child. And I always had people telling me that it wasn't, even though I was on airplanes multiple times as a child, crossing the Pacific, the Atlantic, this country, that country. And it never made any logical, it never felt right. It never felt right. And so now for me to read about it, now for me to read some of the science, right, as an adult, now for me to see these things and be like, oh, gee, Libby, your intuition, your instinct, that thing inside you was always right. So I attribute that thing to being God. So for me, I always go back to I know the earth is flat. I know because I know that I know. And because I go back to the Bible, but also it doesn't matter. It's not going to change how I walk on the earth if I know that it's flat or if I believe that it's a ball. To me today, aside from the fact that the people today that really believe that it's this ball spinning through space also believe all this other crazy shit that I kind of think they're the ones that have a problem. You know what I mean? I'm like, You really don't believe that the government's lying to you? You really believe that, like, so if, how come we can't swallow fluoride, but it's in on the toothpaste? Just basic, simple, like, just explain that one. You know, just basic things like that, that no one can really explain.
Well,
right? They can't.
I like to say this, like, people will say, well, what difference does it make if the earth is flat? It doesn't change anything. And it does. And I like to say that it changes a fucking lot, because if everybody was told tomorrow that they've been lied to this entire time and that the earth is flat, then that gives a lot more credence to this thing called God that nobody wants to believe in. And it also is, why have they been lying to us about where we live this entire time? What else have they been lying to us about? And I think that would be the catalyst that would set everything off in our direction and in our favor. If everybody woke up and was told that tomorrow, it would absolutely change your day-to-day life. I don't give a fuck what people say.
I completely agree. I fully agree with that completely, 100%. Because for me, that was like one of the last red pills that I felt, took, the last rabbit hole that I found, that was like, I remember when I mentioned it to my husband, like well over a year ago, I was like, what do you think about the idea that the earth is flat? And he's like, are you serious? I'm like, I very much am fucking serious. Yep. Yeah, I'm serious, honey. He's like, don't, Libby. I'm like, no, I'm just telling you. It's flat. He's like, you've already shown me way more than I ever thought I would ever. I'm like, look at a lot of this, like, I mean, you knew before I even did. Like, I, to some degree, was still kind of like, I don't know what they're all trying to make us scare this COVID crap. Like, I don't know, maybe you should wear something on your face for a while, and I don't fucking, just give me a minute to figure some shit out. Like, hold on, and finally and he the whole time was like, this is some bullshit. This is all to remove Trump. This is all to do this. It's all to, I'm not playing a game. Like, from the get-go, he was like, bullshit. And it took me a minute to be like, I call your bullshit and I raise you fucking, like, look
and
at
I raise you a flat earth.
Right, exactly. And exactly. And he was like, he fought it, I think, longer than I did, until finally I was like, look, for me, I really felt when I found out the flat earth stuff, I was relieved. Honestly, I was relieved. I was like, I fucking knew it. I knew it. And they've lied about everything. Yeah. If they've lied about this and all this other stuff that I already found, right? They've lied about everything. Watch, like, fucking math isn't even what we thought it was. Like, just nothing. I'm waiting for the unicorns to come out, because I fucking, who knows?
Imagine what it was like for me in 2015 when I first started going down this rabbit hole of flat earth, and like, I was a solo soldier out there in the flat earth realm. Let me tell you, that shit was not easy in 2015. So, like, you have 4 years where I'm like, this world is nothing what we've been told it is, and everybody's like, you're insane. And
right.
Then COVID hits, and I'm like, yo, dude, this is to usher in, well, I thought it was to usher in martial law and to get us into camps. That was my original thought, because I've been knowing about this shit supposed to be happening for years and years.
I think it still is.
I'm like, it's fucking here. Well, I think they're implementing it in small doses and getting the people more and more polarized against each other, so that it's going to be neighbors telling on neighbors and shit like that eventually.
You're 100% right, though. You're not crazy. They are going to do that. They are. Yeah. There's open internment camps. There's one in Washington. And I remember when I found it opening, and first they were building it. Then there was like, it was opening. Then they opened it on a Sunday. I'm sure it's in my Telegram page somewhere. I could find it and send it to you. And they opened on a Sunday. And I was like, this is fucking weird and bizarre that they would open a government building on a Sunday. Then I found news clippings of job postings on Craigslist, okay, in Washington, in that county, for that facility. But it doesn't say FEMA camp. It doesn't say internment camp. It doesn't say anything like that. They word it under something that basically almost, they make it sound like it's going to be for like homeless people or for people that are displaced, right? So they make it sound like a place that you'd want to go to for shelter, for assistance, for help. And then I see all this crazy shit going on with the weather. And me, I sit here and I go, I would so not be surprised if with the way that they're modifying the weather and fucking with the weather and the skies. I mean, I don't know the rest of the country, how bad it is, but in Southern California, it's fucking sick. It doesn't matter where you go. You're going to see chemtrails. You're going to see zigzags. It doesn't matter where you go.
Oh,
How everyone is like, that's not normal. I don't get it. I really don't understand at all anymore.
They're hitting us from every possible angle that they can, with the chemtrails, with our food, with the gas prices, with everything. And you know how you get people to go into their own prison on their own free will is if you scare them enough. If you look back and think about the TV show Walking Dead, they were happy when they found that prison because it kept them safe and they were happy living in that prison. And that's exactly what they want us to be, is happy living in that prison. You'll own nothing and you like it.
I mean, I really feel like the reason why that guy said that was Schwab that said that. I feel like the reason what he was referring to could have very well seriously been the metaverse. I mean, when I made that first video, when I found those interviews, I was like, wait a second. I watched Zuckerberg talk about the metaverse and I was like, this is interesting. Okay, so they're totally planning on using this as like, like a video game. Like people spend money on video games. Of course, people are going to spend money if they're the main character in their fucking video game. Like that's basically what the metaverse is. And so I looked at that. Then I looked at the Schwab video and I was like, I swear that he's talking about that. You want to tell me he's not talking about that? He's fucking talking about that. And then I found this shit with Neuralink and I was like, I mean, I had been reading about 2045 for a long, long, long time. And then my account, the backup account, now it's backup, was shadow banned so badly for so long earlier this year that I finally just gave up posting on it completely. And then I had the heart attack and the seizure in May. And that night when I died, which I know that's a whole different thing, but like it was in that night and coming out of all of that I talked to my husband and was like, yeah, I have a completely different purpose on earth. Like I can't fuck around anymore with all this like bullshit. I was like, so because I was grieving also the loss of both my daughters in their Matrix shit. Like they're not dead. They're very much alive. But they're also very, very lost in their Matrix. Very. So I'm not just, like a truther or just a mom or just, I'm like, my life has been so drastically fucking altered by this shit. I don't give a fuck to sell your wellness box on my Instagram to get followers. I just don't fucking care to do that. And especially when it's like, oh, you want me to go about it this way and that way? No, that's just not me. That's not why I'm here. So I'm here to like share this stuff and ultimately to show people that they don't have to participate in this. You can easily do, and it's not easy, but you can do what I'm doing, what a lot of people like me are finally doing and aren't just talking about it. Like my husband and I decided to leave our 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment with a 2-car garage 10 minutes away from fucking Huntington Beach, like in Huntington Beach, and beautiful beaches in Orange County, like really beautiful beaches, good amount of freedom for Southern California. But still, I was watching what they were doing in our apartment building and I was like, they're changing the demographic of Southern California. And they're not just doing this here, obviously, they're doing this all over the country. I just wonder how many people are paying attention like I am. When they started coming around my apartment building and putting, I would tell everyone to pay attention to this. When they started coming around to my apartment building and installing digital locks on residential apartment doors was when I was like, fuck you. You're not putting that on my door. It's the kind of lock that goes on hotel doors. Oh, why would you have that on your apartment? Yeah.
Sorry, you can't go in your house today. You posted something on Instagram that pissed us off.
Exactly. And I was like, I'm not playing your guys' game. So I said no. I wrote a letter. Gave it to them in person. I delivered it. They still came out and tried to install it. I turned to my husband. I go, can you please go talk to them so I don't have to? He went, did the man thing. I smiled. And I go, you could try. I'll take the door off the hinges. But when I saw that they were doing that was when I knew even more, right? Because I'm praying. I'm praying. I'm using discernment. I'm asking God to show me where to go, what to do. Like, how do I get to the place that I know that you want me to be with my family? Like, I know what God wants me to do. I know God wants me to share this information because very few people are. And I know that ultimately, I really believe it's just a matter of time, because they want these things to be implemented by 2045. You understand that? Not just, oh, well, we've got 20, 30 years, right? It's not going to bother us. It's going to be my son that they're going after.
Yep.
That's who they're going after, is my 5-year-old fucking son. And I'll be damned if I sit by and just talk about pushing, I don't know, Patriot boxes and delivery systems, and like, cool. I'm totally grateful for people that are doing that. I also am not going to fucking depend on the supply chain, whether it's a Patriot backed or not. Like, so what I'm going to do is stay in this shit little RV until we are able to save up enough money to go buy land in a state where I've read the Constitution and I know that they're updating it, they're amending it, and the language in the Constitution is going to keep that state safe once hell truly breaks loose. So that's where I'm going. I'm going to start a homestead there. Eventually, it'll be a private little community with a few select people that'll help us to be self-sustaining, because I really don't believe that in the future, in 15, 20 years, 30 years, there's going to be grocery stores for people like me and you to go into and buy food. I really don't. If I did, I wouldn't fucking be in here right now. Like, I'd be at the beach, okay? I'd be in my bathtub. I don't have a fucking adult-sized bathtub in this place, all right? Like, people are like, you're having fun. Uh-huh. I know my outside kitchen looks like a lot of fun. Let me just tell you that the only way I've been able to take a hot bath is to boil fucking water outside in the pot and then add it to the bathtub, because we don't have hot water yet. All right.
Oh man,
so
don't talk it down. Don't talk it down, because my dream is by the springtime is to have a van or an RV that I've converted into a portable podcast studio, and I'm going to live out of it and drive across America and interview all these cool people.
Oh my God, that's amazing. I want to come back. I want you to drive by my little RV and I'll make you some barbecue.
Yeah, so don't tell me how bad it is, because I'm really excited to take.
No, it's really, you know what? I'll say this. It's not bad. It's not. It's different. It's a change in comfort. Like, that's it. It's a change in convenience. And if you can deal with the change in convenience, you can fucking do this. And really, everyone should. Everyone who values their fucking freedom. I don't know why people are buying houses right now, stationary houses. You must be out of your damn mind.
Yeah,
like, I'm going to go build a cabin. Right? I'm going to go build a cabin in the middle of a forest. It's a particular forest that I've researched the fuck out of. There's no 5G and there won't be 5G. They can't implement it there. It won't happen. There's too much forestry. There's too much water. There's too much goodness. Like, they can't. I think a lot of people start to give up, right? Because they feel like, how am I going to fight this? How am I going to fight this? Like, it's impossible to fight this. So I might as well just give in, right? I don't want to, but I might as well. And I'm here to tell you that if that's your mentality going into it, you are ultra fucked already. Because if that's the mentality you have going into it, how are you going to survive the massive amount of bullshit that's about to come at you? Like, we've survived this far, right? No shot, no microchip, no alteration of fucking organic material to our bodies. How much further, though, can we survive as a species, like ourselves, as actual organic God's creation, right? Once we can't do this, when this doesn't exist anymore, because there is no internet unless you're chipped. It doesn't exist. You want airtime? You're going to have to figure out how to fucking get airtime unless you're chipped. Like, then what? When that shit happens, I want to be in my own nestled little, dome in the forest with my little community. I've got my doctor. I'm a lot similar to a doctor, but I'm not a doctor. I want my doctor. I want my surgeon. Let's get some farmers. Got our water, our electricity. I don't need them anymore. I have what I need right here.
Sounds
I may not have
beautiful.
what I want,
Sign me up.
like, right? I may not have everything I want, but I will have everything I need, including all my fucking meat. They're out of their minds what they're doing to meat. People aren't paying attention. They're really not.
Oh yeah, it is definitely started a long time ago too, because I remember back it might have been one of my old accounts, when people were putting magnets on themselves. And then I saw a video where somebody was putting it on their meat. And so I pulled some meat out of the fridge and I did the same thing, and it was sticking. The magnets were sticking to the meat on certain meats, not all of them.
Yeah. So I would suggest, I mean, you probably already know this, but I'll just say this for the sake of it. So I was raised Jewish, and because I was raised in a very, very strict Jewish household before I left and I found Jesus, and I don't eat by the dietary laws that a lot of Jews, like my mother, live by. But I was raised in a household where we ate kosher meat. That's what we ate. We only ate kosher meat. Kosher meat is basically kosher because of the way the animal is raised. The animal is raised in a very humane way, and it's raised organically. There's no pesticides, there's no hormones, there's no antibiotics, there's none of that bullshit that they put in regular farm, meat. It's as close to wild as you can really get without just having wild animals, right? But it's also the way the animal is killed, and it's also the way the animal is slaughtered and processed. And it's not just the animal that's kosher. Kosher implies that anything you're eating is clean. So it's also that like my mom, I wasn't raised eating shellfish. I didn't eat that. I wasn't allowed to. I wasn't raised eating pork or eating cheeseburgers. But I'll tell you that I never fucking got sick growing up off of the food at my mom's house, ever. I never had food poisoning. I had stomach problems, but I never had anything that was because of the food. It was because of my body and my stomach and my own body's problems, right? But once I left my mom's house, I remember being in my 20s and making hamburgers somewhere, and the person going, "Oh, you have to make the hamburgers bigger, shape them bigger because they shrink." I went, "What do you mean they shrink?" "Well, yeah, the burgers will shrink a little bit and they'll lose their size, so just make them a little bigger." And I was like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. I've never seen that happen before. And now, ever since I've been eating organic, pasture-raised meat, if not kosher, and eggs and vegetables and all that stuff, I understand why. It is literally because of all the nasty fillers of crap, from plastic to metal to other things that should not be in a hamburger, right? And that's why it shrinks. That's why. Right. So,
and not to mention all the hormones that they inject these animals with to make them grow faster and produce more eggs, produce more milk and shit like that. It's just, it's not the shit that we want to be putting into our bodies. That's an understatement, I would say.
It is. They lie to you. They lie to you about everything. I mean, literally everything. And when people read things, so like, I'll give you a quick example. We switched to raw dairy like months ago. So I had researched it for a long time, and I finally decided, like, I think this is a great idea for us. What do you think? We did it. My husband was lactose intolerant, like, his entire life. Couldn't have any kind of dairy like that. Raw milk, he's perfectly fine with. He has no problems drinking it, no stomach aches, no nothing. If you look at the container of the raw milk or the raw butter, there's warnings on there that say that it can cause all sorts of different, it's literally the opposite of what it says on there. So when it says like, this can cause, stomach, blah, 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 intestinal, no, it's the exact opposite. So they literally lied to you. Just, it's everywhere. And unless you've taken the time to research it yourself, you're either believing someone like me, because I'm telling you, or you're looking it up yourself to see it for yourself.
Right. Yeah, I don't even fuck with raw milk. I just don't see the point in humans being the only species that consumes milk after they're an infant. It's meant to make things grow, and I just don't agree with milk. So it's been years since I've drank milk. Cookies.
Look into it. It's really, really helpful. So the enzymes and the probiotics for your stomach. It's really helpful.
I can't give up cheese, and lately, since I quit drinking alcohol, I've been the past week at least, I've been smoking a lot of weed, and fuck, do I crave ice cream like a motherfucker. So,
I mean, if you look back into, I should make some posts and some about raw milk, because my husband had the same mentality as you, exact same mentality as you, and I was like, I understand that that's your mentality. I completely do, and I'll show you this. And then you can decide if you want to try it or you don't. And ultimately he tried it, and I'm glad he did, because it's helped him. It's really helped him, not just digestively, but I can tell that it's helped his mood. It's helped his skin. It's helped his muscles, like, for sure. Like, it's helped in a lot of other ways. but that's neither here or there. That's all different stuff. Food is different. There's all sorts of crazy stuff when it comes to the food today. So,
well, Lady Liberty Libby, I fucking said it. Yes.
see, it's not that hard.
You came on and you crushed. I hope that after everybody listens to this, they go log in and go to 2045.com if they haven't already. And there's also some brother and sister affiliate websites that you can find on 2045.com. I recommend going and checking those out as well, because they all spiderweb off of each other and are all correlated with each other and what their big agenda is. If you like digging down rabbit holes, man, and you're not going down 2045, then I don't know what the fuck you're doing. You need to take your tinfoil hat off, because you don't deserve it today.
Amen. I totally agree with that. Yes.
Well, why don't you let everybody know where they can find you and what we can expect from this amazing truth warrior of a mother we have right here.
Oh, thank you so much. So I plan on staying on Instagram, at least for the time being, as long as I possibly can. I also have a Telegram channel. So my Instagram is at lady.liberty.libby. There's a backup, but you can't click on it. You have to type it all in. I have an art account. It's state.of.the.arts. So I like to paint and stuff like that. And I'm hoping that will do us some good. Nice. And ultimately, I have a Telegram channel. That's where all the information that I ever post, every single link is in there until, I don't know, they archive it, or they're scrubbing the internet too. So you have to like really look for stuff sometimes and pin it and save it and screenshot it and all that weird stuff. But I am working on starting a YouTube channel just to document what we're doing, because what we're doing is so unique, I guess, maybe strange, but I really don't feel like it is for this day and age, really. Just trying to find a family that has gone from here to there and see how they do it. I haven't found really. I'll see people that talk about getting RVs or talk about downsizing or talk about homesteading, but to see the transition, I just, I had to talk my husband into it. I finally got him on board and he's helping me, and I have to just get some time to make the content. But the channel is going to be Fortman Family Farms. And I just have to get it together, and hopefully that will help some people decide. I'm hoping really to use it as a way to motivate people to do this, because I really feel like this is going to be our best chance at a decent future. You know what I mean? For our kids. So
agreed. And I like where your head is at. I like that you're going to be documenting it. I'm going to be documenting mine as well, from the purchase of my van or RV, whatever I end up getting, and then turning it into a mobile podcast studio that I'll actually be living in. So nice. Yeah, it's going to be fun. And if you need any graphics for your little project that you're doing there, I know a guy.
You're right. Oh my gosh. I totally could use your help. Absolutely. We'll absolutely have to talk about that. And if you need help finding an RV, I've done a lot of research and stuff. My husband has. We could definitely help you. You want an RV. You want a little motorhome, more so than a van, I would think. Well, you got a little for bathroom, kitchen. Get your all.
Yeah, it would definitely be more comfortable. I'm just worried about the actual driving aspect of it, because I plan on going everywhere that I can.
You could get it. You could do a teardrop.
Yeah, well, I know that like the newer ones and I started a Gift Send Go account to earn enough money to buy something and to turn it into something livable and a dope podcast studio that people are going to want to like look at,
Nah.
Yeah, my plan is to like make it like a cool experience. Like I show up to your house to interview you, or wherever you are. It's like you don't even have to fucking change. You just come out and chill in my van for an hour and a half, and then if you have anything cool around your house, like that's highly paranormal activity or conspiracy, like birthed place, then we'll go check that out shit. And I'll put that in with the episodes too. I'm going to do I think I'm going to call it Conspiracy Caravan with White Rabbit or something like that. It's going to be its own little thing. But
that's awesome.
Yeah. And that's my way of getting off the grid as well. No more freaking paying rent and mowing the fucking lawn and not seeing my neighbors bringing their groceries because they're empties. So
exactly. I'm making that painting of the White Rabbit. Now I just feel like you might need to have it.
Oh shit.
You haven't seen it? I'll show.
No,
I haven't
that's
posted
it.
it on my Instagram, but I started working on it earlier this year, and I haven't even come close to. Yeah, I'll send you a picture of it. I think you'd like it. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome. My old co-host, she lives in Australia, and she's also a painter and did a painting of a white rabbit too. I was like, oh, that's awesome. She made it before she even knew about my show, so I thought that was really cool. So, like I said, you came, you killed it, you crushed, and hope to have you back on again sometime. I would plug all my stuff, but you guys are listening to this, so you know where the fuck to find me, just not Spotify anymore. So quit hitting me up in my inbox telling me that I'm not on Spotify. Bitch, I know. They fucking told me. They rub it in I still get emails. You're not on Spotify. I know, fuckers. Why are you telling me? Fuck. Anyways, love you guys. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of White Rabbit. And you know what it is. I'm Catalyst Jones. Keep digging down those rabbit holes.
You killed one day, afraid of commitment. Purchase a variety in case of boredom. Let's get you outfitted, killer. Disappointing? Tease. Fine. Can I interest you in my arsenal of death, destruction, and disintegration? But anyway, we should get back to business, baby. Death is inevitable. Error. I can't feel normal legs. Reassessing tactical parameters. Critical systems non-functional. Killer. Error. I can't feel my legs. Alert. Indecisiveness may get you killed one day. Afraid of commitment? Purchase a variety in case of boredom. Let's get you outfitted, killer. Disappointing? Tease. Fine. Can I interest you in my arsenal of death, destruction, and disintegration? But anyway, we should get back to business, baby. Death is inevitable. Error. I can't feel normal legs. Reassessing tactical parameters. Critical systems non-functional. Killer. Error. I can't feel my legs.